Hi, I'm Nathan. I go by Peteparker, and every week I do comic book reviews because that's the rule around my house. If I want to keep buying them, then I have to review them. So this is the review for PunisherMax number 15, written by Jason Aaron and drawn by Steve Dillon. The colors, I believe, are done by Hollingsworth. In any case, if you've listened to my past PunisherMax reviews, this is an awesome series, especially if you read the whole thing. Right now we're in a time in the Punisher's life when he's kind of old and he's been caught and he's in a jail and he's contemplating his life. Something that Bullseye said to him in the previous arc really rattled him, so he's thinking back about the time when he just came back from the war, but just before his family was slaughtered or whatever. Which is a really cool time because nobody else has really ever written about this time in Frank's life and what kind of person he was trying to be versus what kind of person he actually was that whole time. Because the basic idea is that he was turned into the Punisher in the war, in this case Vietnam, and came back and tried to be somebody different, but he would never really change back to the person he was before the war. Which is different than a lot of the previous stories where his family dying is what really spun him into the Punisher vengeance guy. So it's weird because as much as I love this series and expect to love it every time I pick it up, I open it and I see the Steve Dillon's artwork and it throws me almost, every single time. It's a very specific and particular style of artwork. There's not very many lines in anybody's faces, and a lot of them tend to look the same, especially in the eyes area. But it takes me a minute to get back into it again. Now, if you read a bunch of them in a row, it's really not that big of a deal. But if you haven't read one in a little while, and then you pick one up and come into it, you're like, well, this art is definitely specific and unique. And I'm glad that it's happening in here. So let's talk about this issue in particular. You get more flashback than you do actual what's happening now. Some guy throws a grenade into his cell or whatever at the end, so he's really deciding what he's going to do at this point, if he's going to let them kill him in prison or if he's going to move on. But the backstory is about how he almost got suckered into killing somebody before he became the Punisher, even though he really didn't want to, because he wanted to try to live his life as a good family man or whatever. So I feel like the Mafia angle, who is the people who pressured him into almost making his first kill, is kind of been used up all over the place. They always talk about these Mafia dons and the different structures and how they manipulate him by putting pressure on his family and the things he cares about. I don't know, it feels like a story that I've read a bunch of times. There's a different element in it a little bit because Nick Fury's involved trying to get Frank to work for Fury, but which doesn't seem to happen in this one or whatever. But this particular issue, I am much more interested in who the Punisher is now than what happened back then, because I think I get the general idea at this point, right? So now I'm hoping that the next issue of this is kind of the wrap-up of the flashback kind of thing, and saying, no, I was a good man, or no, I was the Punisher in between this time when I got back and the time when my family were killed. And move forward with what he's going to do in the future, because I really want to get back to Frank fighting, crazy fights like he was in the first arc of this series. Not to say that it's bad, and not to say that it isn't as great as everything else that's been in this series. It's just this kind of period. I feel like I got the idea really early on what was trying to be achieved, and if that's really the payoff at the end, then I'm kind of floating, wasting time, waiting for it to be over for the next thing to start. And it's kind of a crappy place to be, even with such great writer and such great art, right? So again, I'll give this one a definite 4 out of 5. I don't think it's a 5 out of 5 this issue per se. Maybe the arc in general will be, but not really this issue. It's still great though, just not amazing. So there you go, Punisher Max number 15. That's 4 out of 5. It's a really great series. If you have a chance to pick it up in trade, I guess now, or back issues or whatever, then you should do so, because you'll enjoy it from beginning to end. And there's only like 14 issues, so it's really not that big of a deal. So if you enjoyed this review and want to see others that I've done, then just do a video review search for video review by Peteparker, and you should find all the stuff that I have. It's mostly on YouTube, if not all on YouTube, under Spidey207. Otherwise, I may or may not be doing this next week because I'll be in San Diego. I'm going to try to do it out in the hotel room, but we'll see how it works out. If not, just hang in there. When I get back, I'll review all the books from next week, and I'll probably be reviewing the books from the week after at the same time. So there you go. You get one big chunk just like this week, because there were so many that I had to buy. So in any case, thanks for listening, and I appreciate each and every view. And well, as always, we'll talk to you next time. Thanks.